Golf. What can I say after all these years? You have played such an important role for the majority of my life. You welcomed me into your world at such a young age, and for that, I am forever grateful. Though our relationship has been complicated at times, you've taught me resilience, patience, and the power of perseverance. You've shown me the highs and lows of competition, the thrill of victory, and the lessons learned in defeat. I am so grateful to you for all the amazing moments and memories you have given me. From qualifying for the US Women's Open as a 12-year-old to winning my first LPGA tournament at 16. Winning a major was one of the proudest moments of my career, and teeing it up with the men in Las Vegas was a week I will never forget. Representing my country in the Olympics and Solheim Cup was not just an honor, but also a privilege that I will treasure for the rest of my life. You haven't always been easy on me, or fair for that matter, but through all the ups and downs, you've given me a platform to inspire others and positively impact the world. That has been a driving force that kept me playing and relentlessly working to be better. To all the girls who have cheered for me, you have been my inspiration, my encouragement, and my strength. On the days that were tough and I wanted to give up, your support motivated me to dig deep and keep competing. You have always been a family affair in the Thompson home. I will always cherish the moments my family and I shared with you across the world. Playing alongside my brothers and having their unwavering support made each round even more special. I wouldn't be in this position today if it weren't for the love, sacrifice, and dedication of my mom and dad. Words cannot express my gratitude for always being there for me and pushing me to be my best every single day. The friendships I've formed with fellow players, caddies, coaches, and fans are relationships that have enriched my life in ways beyond the golf course. These bonds will remain long after my final round. To the LPGA Tour, my sponsors, and to all those who have supported me throughout my career, I am deeply grateful for your belief in me. Your encouragement made every victory sweeter and every challenge more bearable. Although this has been an amazing journey, it hasn't always been an easy one. Since I was 12 years old, my life as a golfer has been a whirlwind of constant attention, scrutiny, and pressure. The cameras are always on, capturing every swing and every moment on and off the golf course. Social media never sleeps, with comments and criticisms flooding in from around the world. It can be exhausting to maintain a smile on the outside while grappling with struggles on the inside. By opening up about my own battles, I've been able to connect with others who feel isolated in their struggles, offering them a sense of community and understanding. Each time I share, it reinforces the message that it's okay to not be okay, and that seeking support is a sign of strength, not weakness. While it is never easy to say goodbye, it is indeed time. At the end of 2024, I will be stepping away from a full professional golf schedule. I'm excited to enjoy the remainder of the year as there are still goals I want to accomplish. I'm looking forward to the next chapter of my life, time with my family, friends, and my trusted companion, Leo. I will always look for ways to contribute to this sport and inspire the next generation of golfers. And of course, I look forward to a little time for myself. With deep gratitude and much love, Lexi Thompson.
All right, Lexi Thompson, in her own words, as to what she's doing and why she is doing it. And, you know, it raises a question, and I think it deserves to be noted. When you're talking about what Lexi Thompson accomplished as a player, the debate right now through, as she called it, the social media, which you know, constantly has comments and criticism. Those were that's the phrase that she used to talk about it. Was that, did Lexi Thompson accomplish enough? Right? And I say it that way and let it linger for a second, because it raises the question of, against what standard of judgment do you make a comment like that? Is it based upon commercial success? Is it based upon popularity? Or is it based upon the earlier that we got to know them, thus the sense of the potential that they possessed accordingly? Right? Lexi Thompson bursts on the scene at the US Women's Open at 12 years old. then at the time, the youngest. It's since been eclipsed by Lucy Lee, which again is an interesting conversation because we're talking about child prodigies. And when you look at child prodigies across in our parochial sport of golf, when you look at child prodigies across the spectrum, you know, the first, I wouldn't say the very first child prodigy, probably the very first true child prodigy in the game was young Tom Morris. And young Tom literally redefined the game. Young Tom was dead by age 24. But he redefined the game. He was the first player, now benefiting from the gutty golf ball, but he was the first player that fully employed the use of irons instead of all long-nosed woods. And he changed how the game was played. He started to routinely shoot scores in the 70s, which I don't even know what the equivalency would be today. It probably would be starting to talk about a golfer who routinely was shooting scores in the 50s by comparison. But young Tom was the child prodigy, such as he was short-lived on this earth, consumed by grief and his own demons. But I'm going to jump ahead to he was probably the next child prodigy was Bobby Jones. Bobby Jones ultimately retired at the age of 28. So what we see here is a pattern where the child prodigies, while young as they are introduced to us, generally are still young when they exit the game, right? At least on a full-time basis. Lexi is 29 years old right now. She said she is going to play out the rest of the season, and she's in a major championship this week, and the season's still before her. Maybe a weight will be lifted off her shoulders, and she'll do something amazing between now and the end of the year. Maybe she'll do it multiple times. So I just thought it was interesting when you look at, you know, could you call Nancy Lopez a child prodigy? I think so. Right? I believe it was the New Mexico Women's Open. I think she won at 12 years old or something crazy. And then what she did when she came out as a rookie in the LPGA and winning so many times. So she was one that Nancy Lopez was able to settle into the role and find her career path, winning what, 48 times on the LPGA, multiple major championships. Different times, maybe not as much scrutiny, maybe not as much attention, maybe not the piercing and peering eyes of social media that impacts some more than others. And I also think that that's a generational thing. I think that if you grew up in those same years and didn't have the piercing eyes of social media upon you, it's hard for you to judge someone who grew up in a world where they never knew anything else but. Particularly as you heard earlier in the show where Lexi was talking about the fact that, you know, fitness is very important to her. So obviously all of these things that are tethered with a female athlete and all of those areas that they feel constantly under scrutiny and judgment. And scrutiny is the word that she used. Scrutiny and pressure that she was talking about. I think of other child prodigies. Ty Tryon when he burst on the scene. Ryo Ishikawa, who, if memory serves me, when he won for the first time in the Japanese Tour, he was 15 years old. Ryo Ishikawa is now 32. He qualified for this year's U.S. Open at Pinehurst #2 in the final stage qualifying in Japan. And then you look at, even to a certain extent, Jack Nicklaus was a child prodigy, but again, didn't have all of these other tethered areas where the world is there to judge. Whether you're impacted that or not impacted by that, it's there. Tiger Woods is probably, as he is in many areas, the anomaly where, as a child prodigy, as a kid that we saw in that Mike Douglas show at, 2 years old and change, that went on to fulfill the promise. But when you look in the periphery of Tiger Woods in his life, he paid a price too. I'm not saying that he was a victim. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that he paid a price for it. There was, if you look at Tiger's life outside the ropes, there was a price to be paid. With Lexi, of course, especially where we are with the world of golf right now, which you referenced, that mental health is part of this story. Here's Lexi on that.
Honestly, just staying true to myself. Being out here can be a lot. It can be lonely. Sorry if I get emotional. I said I wasn't going to. I just think, especially with what's happened in golf as of recent too, a lot of people they don't realize a lot of what we go through as a professional athlete. I mean, and I'll be the last one to say, like, throw me a pity party. This is the last thing I want. But, we're doing what we love. We're trying the best every single day. And, we're not perfect. We're humans. Words hurt. And it's hard to overcome sometimes, but having the people around you that love you and support you, and I feel like that's been the biggest thing for me. I might not have a huge friend group, but to have the people that matter the most around me have gotten me through some really hard times. And I think it's a lot for everybody out here or in any professional sport. A lot of people don't know what we go through and the amount of training and hard work that we put ourselves through. It's a lot, and I don't think we deserve. I think we deserve a lot more credit than what we get. Well, I mean, I feel like mental health is such an important thing just for the everyday person, not just athletes. Everybody out here has their own struggles. That's why I always say, just don't judge anybody because you don't know what they're going through, and what they have going on in their mind and their heart, and just be gentle with them. But yeah, I think we all have our own struggles, especially out here. I mean, unfortunately, in golf, you lose more than you win. So it's an ongoing battle to continue to put yourself out there in front of the cameras and continuing to work hard and maybe not seeing the results you want and getting criticized for it. So it's hard. I will say, yes, I mean, I've struggled with it. I mean, I don't think there's somebody out here that hasn't. It's just a matter of how well you hide it, which is very sad. And it's an important thing to address and, be okay with getting help and getting the support and surrounding yourself with the people that support you and love you, because there's always people that do care so much about you and will help you get through those tough moments.
I think it's important to remember that this is the 18th U.S. Women's Open for Lexi Thompson. And just using that as the marker, that means that she's been in our consciousness for almost 2 decades. And if you look across the spectrum of those 2 decades, right, you're talking about some great players, probably most prominently defined by Annika Sorenstam from Sweden. Michelle Wie was in that mix, and another one that came out as a child prodigy that walked away from the game early after having a great career nonetheless. But what I'm getting at is, during those 2 decades, there was also that constant murmur for players from the United States to say, when are we going to see the next great American LPGA player? Right? So that's just more weight that's upon the shoulders. There's another element to it because, as we know, the challenge for Lexi Thompson has been with her putter, right? How many more wins would she have? Even majors would she have, save but for that putter? And if you remember, we were talking about this issue of mental health and awareness. And Peter Malnati was on with us, recent winner on the PGA Tour. Peter is a great putter. And I asked him at that time, do you think that putting is a window into the soul? And he did what great putters do, kind of brushed it off a little bit like, I don't know if it's a window into the soul. I think there's a lot of people that struggle with the flat stick in their hand, that if you ask them that same question, if they struggle, they go, hey, you better believe it is. But it's the people that are great putters that is the reason why I have a personal philosophy that says that great putting and your ability to handle pressure, while it's not tied in together, I don't mean to present it as such, I'm saying these are 2 separate attributes. But I think it comes down to how you are wired. We like to believe that it's based upon some idea of toughness, mental toughness, etc. but I think it's based upon a natural gift, because great putters never make it seem like putting is something that is very complicated. You ever notice that? They're just kind of like, yeah, I see the target, I react to the target, and I putt. People who struggle putting hear that and go, oh, you might as well tell me you lassoed a cloud. And when it comes to pressure, again, we like to build this story about someone is tougher than everybody else, a Jack Nicklaus, a Tiger Woods, or what have you, tougher than everybody else. But then you go, wait a minute, Larry Nelson fought in heavy combat in Vietnam. He's a 3-time major champion. He had bullets spitting over his head. You going to tell me that Larry Nelson isn't a tough guy? Or you see guys that could run through a wall from the NFL that come out and play at a charity golf tournament and they're shaking on the first tee. You going to tell me that's not a tough guy? That this guy's not as tough as golfers? Come on. I just don't buy it. So that's why I go back to this idea of somehow, some way, it comes down to how you're wired, and that's a gift. You can develop it, you can work on it, but it ultimately is a gift, and that's part of what makes the greatest of the great in any sport who and what they are. For Lexi Thompson, whatever path that she decides to do next, I hope it's a path that she finds what she's looking for and she finds peace and happiness.